I did the cardinal sin. I pull up my bow, and then I look dead at his antlers. I got out of the truck, and when I slammed the door, I heard gobbles all around me.
Let's see it.
Alaska, moose, spot and sock. That is the bucket list.
I agree.
White Cat Outdoors. White Cat Outdoors.
Welcome back, everybody, to the White Cat Outdoors podcast. I'll be one of your hosts tonight, Nick.
Tom here. Glad to be in the studio.
This is Austin.
And White's hanging out. We got a pretty decent episode tonight.
Yeah, it's full house. I love this.
Anytime
Austin
there's a full
joined
house,
us.
we have a good time.
It's a real rip snorter, that's
Yeah.
for sure.
We a little late to start the podcast, but that's not going to mean anything to you guys. We were just doing our good deed tonight, shoveling off Grandpa's roof.
Yeah, we got freaking hammered with snow.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a
Northwest
second because
Pennsylvania.
that really affected opening day of Pennsylvania gun season.
It's been so long since we've had snow on opening day of gun season in PA. Like, usually it's raining. Usually it's like 38 degrees and pouring down rain, and it fucking sucks. But this year we were like, oh, a little excited. We're going to have some snow on the ground. That bodes well for hunting.
Yeah, like 5-6 inches.
Yeah, that's
not
like-
difficult to walk through, easy to drag a deer across.
Yeah, it helps your blood trailing. You can find tracks everywhere, know what they're doing. It just makes
Pick them
life
out way easier.
Yeah, everything's easier. But instead of getting that 5 to 6 inches, we got
All the snow that we
anywhere from-
wished we had
Yeah.
all of these previous seasons all came at once.
Yeah, we got some places got up to, I think 57 inches was the most I saw, and then out in Edinburgh, I think it was like 38 inches or something like that. So
I had 8 at my property.
I was over my
I was
waist.
living life.
I was over my waist in snow, and I had probably from where I park up at the house down to that stand. That's got to be what 400 yards at least.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
whatever. But it's a long walk through waist deep snow.
Yeah.
Wearing full wool bibs and because those cut your mobility down much.
I brought my wool bibs in, but I could put them in a backpack, and I dressed very light for my walk in because I knew I was going to get sweaty. And I sent you guys a Snapchat. I literally took all my clothes off. It was 20 degrees and the wind was blowing 25 miles an hour, and I was down to nothing. I just had my chest hair on because I was soaking wet and just shed a bunch of layers of clothes to dry out a little bit, and then I put all my warm clothes on.
And did that work? Did you stay plenty warm?
Yeah, I was very warm. I mean, it was a shitty day in the woods. I hunted sun up to sundown and saw 5 deer, and 4 of them were in the last 20 minutes.
It makes for a long all-day set.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of deer, like 20 to 30 deer, but all of them were in that last 45 minutes.
Yeah.
It was a long, long sit for to not see anything. I had my first falling out of a tree, or not even a tree, but falling out of a stand.
Yeah, that you fell out of
a box blind.
Yeah, or one of those. Was it a redneck or something?
No.
that?
These are. I don't even think they're in business anymore.
Boss buck?
Yeah, boss buck, non-typical. I'm pretty sure they're not even.
Yeah, I don't know how you fall out of one of those.
It's
stands.
real
They
easy,
have a
actually.
door.
Yeah. Well, so that's
He
what
was,
happened.
he was
enclosed.
outside of the door.
Yeah, there's like a small platform that you like walk, like you climb up the ladder.
A porch, if you will.
It's not even because like the porch is only as big as the way like the door swings out. So like to get out, like once you're out of it and you go to close the door, you kind of have to like step around as you're closing the door. And as I was doing that, my foot slipped on the platform, and it was one of those like slow motion hit, and I was like, shit, I'm 100%, I'm going down. This is it. And I was like falling backwards because I was already like leaning back to get the door around. But luckily there was like 4 foot of snow, so my 10-foot drop became 6 foot into a nice pillow. So
Did you have the gun on your back or?
yeah, I did. It was unloaded. But I also had a pop can in my hand and I didn't spill it.
That's good.
That's nice.
But I did fall right into where I was pissing all day, so that was nice.
Yeah. Usually people warn you about wearing your harness and stuff when you're in like lock-ons and whatnot, but usually you don't wear a harness when you're in a box blind.
No, I'm gonna have to start.
Yeah. I don't even know where you tether it to.
To the ladder.
No, but I texted the group and I was like, did anybody else fall out of their stand today, or is it just me?
Yeah, it was just you.
Yep.
Yeah.
You were the only one.
So
I thought I was going to fall out of my tree because, like I said, it was blowing so freaking bad. It was like a sustained 25-mile-an-hour wind and gusts 35. And I was in my .5, which is not a big platform.
no, not at all.
And I was in a little bit of it. It was like one of those trees that you're putting it up and you're like, this is a little skinny, but you know, I'm light. I can get by. And a little bit skinny tree, once you get up in it, and then 30-mile-an-hour winds, it was moving. I literally was like leaning against the tree hard to keep from falling. I was like,
I'm assuming you weren't harnessed?
I did not. I went up and I was set up for like half hour, and I was like, I'm done with this. I climbed right back down, went into a ladder stand.
Yeah, that's the way to go.
Yeah.
I felt kind of bad because I was sitting out there. Like I said, I had like 8 inches of snow, no wind. And I was only 5 miles from Frank, maybe 10 miles from Nick. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, yeah, they're texting me complaining about the snow, the wind. I'm like,
I
it's
got none of
cold
that.
here.
I sent that picture to you guys. I had a whole row of hemlocks not more than 30 yards in front of me. You could not see them.
Though it was
Yeah,
snowing fucking hard.
That's what I was going to say, too. I went to my grandpa's hunting shack, and it's like a hemlock kind of brushy area. My visibility was probably like 40 yards max.
I didn't even have that. It was, I mean, I was bow hunting at that point.
Yeah.
It was rough.
Yeah, it was definitely, like you said, we got all of the snow that we've been wanting for the last 20 years on the first day. We got it all in one day.
Yeah.
Except Tom.
Yeah, Tom honestly had just the right amount.
And it worked out very well for somebody I was hunting with. It wasn't me. I'm not going to say who.
I heard we might be getting him on the podcast, though.
Yeah, we got a big buck deer camp series coming in.
I think it's the biggest one out of the group this year.
Yeah.
Absolutely it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's bigger than my dad's.
So, little spoiler alert. You know him. You've heard him before.
Can't wait.
It's going to be a good
But
one.
that's not what we're here for.
No. We're here about my big buck story from the week prior and Frank Stowe's story.
Yeah, up in New York.
We could have 3 if you want.
3. Oh, yeah, Austin killed.
We talked
No.
about Austin.
Yeah,
No. What did you do Sunday?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I shot a doe on Sunday. We can if the crowd wants a long episode, put your hands up.
Yeah, throw it in.
That looks like everybody.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, because the big buck episode I feel like deserves its own. So we're gonna cover 3 buck stories all in one.
No.
The listeners have really been
one
enjoying
not
one
buck.
buck story,
one
2
buck
doe
story, 2
stories.
doe story.
Close.
Yeah.
Nick, just shut up.
So I think we
Was
should
he
probably go
stoned with 2 birds or something. Is that what the saying is?
Yeah. No, I was going to say I think we should go in chronological order
Start at the end.
and then
And-
go to the pick up pieces in the middle while going back to the beginning.
It's
Yeah.
not a bad idea.
But no, so I'll take the reins here. I'll start.
This actually dips a little bit back into last week's episode with your smoke break recipe.
Oh yes, eating the Chautauqua County oysters.
Yeah.
So this hunt actually kind of started.
Tom, you have never told a story that didn't start like this. Like, I went hunting, but yeah, let me back up.
It actually
His-
starts.
His best man speech at your wedding, I laughed so fucking hard because he started it like that. He started talking. He's like, "Yeah, let me back up," and I was audibly laughing, and everyone was looking at me like,
What is so funny?
"That's not funny." I'm like,
You have to
would-
know him.
Yeah, you would understand.
You
if
don't know Tom then. But no,
Anyway, go
this
ahead,
hunt-
back up for us.
This story actually does have to backtrack to the New York gun opener, where Frank and Austin, you heard, both killed bucks up there.
Great weekend at camp.
So I was up at Morrison that week. I didn't get to be around for Frank and Austin's buck.
It's just a shame.
I know. I'll be there this coming year. Don't
Yeah.
you worry.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Scout's honor.
Yeah, you keep saying
That's
that.
otter.
He held up 3 fingers, folks.
So I roll into deer camp Friday night, and I'm like, you know what, I kind of want to join the club. I want to shoot a buck too. That sounds
Tom was
fun.
in a killing mood.
I was. So I wake up Saturday morning and make my way down to the edge of the swamp. We have a cell camera set up there that deer were frequenting a scrape quite regularly. So I get set up, and mind you, this is like November. I think the opening day was, the 16th. So this would have been like the 23rd-ish.
Yeah, a week later.
Somewhere around there, the 23rd. So like rut activity still happening.
Mm-hmm.
So first thing in the morning, I have a small buck chase a doe right in front of me. I'm like, all right, well, I'm not shooting does this morning if bucks are chasing.
Mm-hmm.
So I seen that that buck chasing a doe. A little while later, I had another buck come right down the same trail, and maybe 15 minutes after that, I seen actually a nice 8-point for our property chasing a doe like 150 yards away. And I'm like, oh, this is getting to be a good morning. Like, we're gonna hunker in. We're gonna spend some time here. Well, then like 5 minutes later, this coyote comes running through, and I don't know, when I see a coyote, I don't care how good the deer hunt has been going.
It's a coyote hunt.
It turns into a coyote hunt.
You really do that?
Absolutely. Yeah. And if you're at the Climber Farm, you should too.
Those are the rules, Austin.
Yeah. So this coyote's coming in, and where I was at, it was super thick. And it was only like, 70 yards away, but it was kind of doing the old coyote trot. And I shot, and it jumped up, looked about like 12 feet in the air. And I'm like, I think I hit it. And it took off running. And I kind of threw another shot out there, just kind of praying that maybe I'll get this thing. So I sat there, and I'm like, well, I'm going to climb down and see if I can't find a blood or hair or anything. Just make some loops. And I climbed down, walked all over the place, made a couple 200-yard circles, and I couldn't find anything. No blood, no hair, nothing. I'm like, well, I kind of boogered this spot up. I think I'm going to go back to the cabin. And so I meet Nick back there. We go down to the old Dutch treat, get ourselves a little breakfast, and head back up to camp. We're watching, I don't even remember what we were watching. But
You were watching Whitetail Adrenaline when I got there.
that seems about right. And Frank rolled in. So Frank gets into camp, and we're sitting there, chewing the fat, telling hunting stories, having a good
Not
old
bear
time.
fat though.
No, Austin didn't bring any for us.
Next
And,
time.
Yeah, next time. Heard that before. So we're sitting there telling stories, having a good time, talking about, the plan for the evening hunt. And I get this bright idea where I'm going to make this game with the dartboard. So I grab 2 darts, and I tell Nick and Frank, I say, each of you pick a number, and I will try my darndest to hit that number.
With one dart.
Yeah, with 1 dart. And if I do, I'm shooting the first buck that comes by me tonight. So they were all in on it. So Nick, I think he told me like a 5 or something. And so I throw my dart, and I just barely miss the 5. And I'm like, oh, that shows you guys I'm not messing around. I'm trying.
I'm trying to shoot a buck tonight.
Yeah. So Frank's like, all right, I'll give you 16. So I take my dart, line up, center punch the 16. I'm like,
Shooter
perfect.
shooting tonight.
Something's going down. So I forget, Nick and Frank were like, that just seems like a fun game. So they, I forget, what was Nick's rule?
I don't remember.
It was irrelevant because he can't throw darts to save his ass.
Yeah.
And-
He's trash.
Yeah. But we made a good rule with Frank. If he hit the number, he had to drink 3 White Russians with us at the bar that night. And sure enough, Frank smoked his number. Side note, he only drank 2 White Russians at the bar.
Yeah, unfortunately.
What a loser.
I know, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Anyway, so I decide, shooting the first buck that comes by. And I was not mad that I hit that number. I was pretty stoked.
Yeah, you were begging for it.
Yeah.
I do have one question.
And I'm going to
Can you-
answer this question before you even ask it. No, I don't think I would have shot that buck had I not hit the dart.
Okay, I was gonna say if you could be honest with us, but apparently you can't.
You think he would have shot it?
Oh,
even?
100%. Tom didn't make that game up. Tom already decided I'm shooting the first buck I see, and this is just gonna help solidify it for
He
fun.
just wanted an excuse to shoot
Yeah.
that buck. He's like, he's gonna do it anyway, but he just wants to be like,
Well,
I had to do it.
You can tell the way he's smiling too.
Yeah,
That's what
he'd
happened.
have done it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
I don't know.
Are you a captain? Aye, captain.
There's a good chance. I can neither confirm nor deny.
He's like, yeah, I may do it through a
See,
negotiated
in
process.
the span of 30 seconds, he went from no, I probably wouldn't to I can't confirm or deny.
Hey.
Which is the same thing. I don't know. I can't confirm or deny.
Bottom line is, we'll never know.
Yeah.
The buck's dead.
Well, spoiler alert.
Yeah, sorry guys.
Jeez.
And, well, Frank, you might as well tell your doe story.
Yeah, that's it.
No, so it was kind of a shitty day. It was kind of raining and whatnot.
Yeah.
So we weren't in like a huge yank to get back out there. Frank only had a doe tag. He's like, I'm not sitting all day.
Yeah, I was like, I'm
For
gonna
a
go
doe.
out like for the last hour.
Yeah. So I go back into the woods where I seen the big buck chasing the doe that same morning. I had a notion that he might have bedded her up in the swamp. I'm like, well, maybe he'll step out and I'll get a shot at him. And
As long as he's first.
yeah. So I get set up and I get up in my tree. I'm situated, looking around like, all right, I got a lane here. I got a lane here. It's about 3:00. And I'm sitting there and I'm just starting to like zone in, I call it becoming one with the woods. And I wasn't even fully there yet. I was like, I don't know, 2 with the woods.
What are we describing here?
Tom has his
become
countdown.
one with the woods, like
He was only 2 with the woods.
Yeah.
This is at daylight.
No,
this is
this
at
is I was
3:00.
going in for an
Are you-
evening
are you
hunt. I
even
just said it
listening?
was
I'm sorry. Okay.
Don't you ever like you're sitting in the stand and like you get in there and you're like kind of like excited and like worked up,
But you're not
like,
locked in
You just
yet.
got on stand and you're like, all right, here we go. And
You're
you're
still
looking around.
situated.
You're still
Okay.
fumbling through your bag,
All
getting your
right,
stuff
yeah.
together.
Yeah,
And then you everything's set up, and then you're locked, and you're like,
You got
boom,
like 5
now
minutes
we're
of just
hunting.
sitting there, and then it's like, now I'm one with the
yeah.
woods.
You are no longer a person. You are the woods.
I usually do that as soon as I step out of the truck.
No, you're doing it wrong.
No.
No.
Okay,
So
go
I wasn't even one with the woods yet. And I look over my shoulder, and here comes this dominant 6-point. I didn't know he was a 6-point. I didn't see his brow tines.
Tom thought it was a 4-point.
And he was kind of playing with me a little bit. He was initially coming straight on at me, and I didn't want to take the full frontal. So I was going to wait for him to turn broadside. So he turned broadside, and he's standing behind a tree. So I got my crosshairs on the other side of the tree, waiting for him to step out. Well, then he turns around and he starts walking away. I'm like, no, what are you doing? And then he cuts broadside the other way and comes into this lane. And I gave him a map, and he stopped. And I put the crosshairs right behind the front shoulder and just squeezed the trigger. And as soon as I shot, the buck kind of like stood up on his hind legs, took off running like 45 yards, and then it stood on its hind legs and tipped over backwards. So I'm like, nailed him.
Yeah.
I'm pumped. And I let out a very loud shoo-wee because there's no cell phone service up there. So I wanted everyone to know that I shot a buck, and that's code. Yell shoo-wee for a buck, and I think it's yeehaw for a
Yeehaw
doe.
for doe.
Yeah.
And I was 200 plus yards away, and I heard it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was probably about 200 yards from you, and I yelled
I think
back.
both shoo-weed back.
Yeah, I for sure shoe-weed
Yeah,
back.
I did.
Yeah.
And
So I started climbing down
yeah,
at this point.
Well, and that rolls right into me. I ended up getting out earlier than I had expected. It was like Tom said, it was a shitty rainy day, and I was like, I'm not going out early to wait for a doe. But I ended up going out shortly after Tom did, and climbed up into a stand.
You were just on the opposite side of the swamp,
Yeah, I was 200 yards from you, kind of at the head of the swamp. You were, yeah, kind of
deeper in.
yeah, deeper in on the swamp. So I hear the shot. 5 seconds later, I hear let out the big shoo-wee. I shoo-wee back, and I'm like, all right, I'm pumped. I don't want to sit in the rain. I'm climbing down. I'm going to go over to Tom. So I climb down, and it was literally like the shot was still echoing when I started climbing down. I was freaking pumped. I was like, there's, Tom shot a buck. So I'm on my way down my ladder, and I'm maybe 30 yards from my stand, and I just hear crashing everywhere. I'm like, oh fuck, there's deer coming. I should have hung out for maybe a minute to make sure this wasn't gonna happen. So crashing everywhere, and I'm like standing in the middle of the, where it's at. It's at the head of the red brush. And I like run to the first cottonwood that I can lean against to get a little bit of a rest, and deer just start erupting out of the red brush up onto the hillside. And there was probably 25 deer just going, and they got like to me, and there's kind of like a little staging area that they use right there, and they just started circling right there and just
Trying to get their bearings back.
yeah, they jumped out of the swamp and were just figuring out, okay, what just happened? Where are we going now? And I didn't have a shot at any of them. And at that point, they're starting to circle and stack up on each other. I wasn't going to send a bullet into a big herd of deer. And they keep doing that, and then they start to filter out and start going across the road.
And by this time, I'm already down and heading this
well
direction.
on your way to Tom. And like the last deer, like way behind all the other ones, pops out of the red brush and is probably about 60 yards from me, and it was a nice doe. And I was like, well, that was a big mistake, babe. So leaned into my tree, touched off, smoked her. She ran about 40 yards, piled up right there. I walked over to her, made sure she was down, dead, done, everything was good, and then hauled ass over to Tom. I was like, let's fucking go.
Yeah.
Because I thought for sure he shot that nice buck. And so I trudged over there to him as quick as I could, and he had just gotten his climber off the tree, and he's pumping his fist, all excited. And, so it's getting me even more excited. I was like, let's go. He fucking did it. And I get over to him. I was like, was it that nice 8? He's like, oh, yeah, it was. I was like, fuck yeah, brother. We're fist bumping. We start walking. He's like, he's right over here. I watched him go down. He's like, it's not the big buck. I was like, you motherfucker.
But by the time Frank and I met up, it was 3:30.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, we had 2 deer down by 3:30.
yeah, I got on stand at 3, and by 3:30,
And I was probably on stand at 3:20. I wasn't even 3 with the woods. I had literally just climbed up.
yeah, it was a good hunt. So me and Frank, we go over to my buck, and I see an orange hat come bopping through the woods. Nikki's coming through. So he comes over, we fist bump, shake hands, this and that. And he's like, all right, well, deer are moving. I'm going to get back on stand. I'm like, all right, well, me and Frank got 2 deer to take care of. So we walk back up to the truck. I drop off my tree stand, my gun, and shed a couple layers because we had deer
A lot
to
of
drag.
dragging.
So we get back to my deer, gut it out, drag it back up to the truck, drive around, drop the truck off, walk in, get Frank's doe, gutted, drug out to the road. I think we were back drinking beers by
4:30.
yeah.
Yeah, it was. You couldn't ask for much more in an evening hunt.
I do want to say that right now, Austin and Tom, you guys both are pending a fine.
Yeah,
Pending a fine.
Yeah, you guys have
not
to earn a buck.
Earn a buck. That was
I'm
our
the
rule.
only one that's earned my buck.
What do you mean earn a buck?
You gotta shoot a doe.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's not going to be an issue. I'm going to do that Sunday.
I'm just throwing it out there.
Come
right now,
on.
it's pending a fine.
That
No,
Austin, we
this is
made that rule.
bullshit.
We made that rule 2 years ago.
We did. If I had to eat deer nuts, you have to shoot a doe.
yeah,
pretty
because that's
easy
just
to
a
shoot
shot
a
of
fucking
mezcal.
jeez. Okay.
Yeah, there's no 2 ways about it.
Well, I told you guys I only want to shoot 2 deer this year.
Well, then I guess they're gonna be in New York.
Damn it.
I don't know what
And
to
a
tell
bear.
you, babe.
And a
Rules
bear.
are rules.
Yeah, whatever. We didn't shake on it, so this ain't a
Oh
fine.
my God! Listen to him.
I think we did shake on it.
Yeah.
No, we did
Yes,
not.
we did. That is a rule. No, there's no way around that.
No,
And, apparently, does don't carry over.
no,
Well,
no.
no.
It's per season. What do you?
You're crazy. You gotta shoot a doe
Do I have to shoot 2?
Why?
because he
To show
killed
2
2 bucks
bucks?
this year.
That is up for debate. We'll have to have a meeting.
You have
On that
2
one.
doe tags
Yeah, we'd have to have a meeting on that one, but I
Yeah,
know
but
it's at
one's
least
the
one.
archery muzzleloader.
So well, archery muzzleloader's coming right up.
This is true.
Yeah.
But don't worry, I'll get it done Sunday.
Yeah, let's hope. And then we can all go snowboarding. It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
So,
Speaking of Sunday, this brings me back to last Sunday, my PA
Like 8
hunt.
days ago.
No, like 4 days ago.
yeah, we
Last
can
Sunday.
hunt. That was our one Sunday in rifle season that we're allowed to hunt in PA because PA is lagging way behind every other state.
Yeah. So me
We
and
have
Whitey,
one guy at the table that agrees with that.
Yeah,
baloney.
I don't know what your problem is, Austin.
him
Why
a day of rest.
why don't you want Sunday hunting?
We already went over this. Are we gonna
I
dig
no
into
matter
this
how many
again?
times you say it, I'm not gonna understand. So I guess there's just no point in even talking
Yeah.
about it because
No, I
to
totally
Tom.
agree to a day of rest. Let the deer get back.
Make it Wednesday.
Not Wednesday.
why? Everyone's at work.
All I'm going to say is I agree with it, and I think it's ethical for the deer.
they realistically have 5 days of rest because 90% of the hunting population is hunting Saturday.
So if they
They
cross state
realistically
lines,
have 10 and a half months of rest.
10.5 plus, yeah.
do you follow that rule when you're in Ohio?
Yeah.
You don't hunt on Sundays.
Yeah,
in
I
Ohio.
just sit in the tree stand without my gun. It just feels right.
Just out there becoming one with the woods.
No, but
All right, Tom. Back to your story. Sunday hunting, Pennsylvania.
Sunday,
it's
my
wrong.
one Sunday to rifle hunt in PA. And this hunt's really not as eventful as the week prior. I hunted all day Saturday in a climber in 18-degree weather, and I'm getting Snapchats from Nick in a box blind. I'm like, yeah,
Boy, that looks nice.
that does look good.
It was still cold. Like, granted, I know you were colder,
Yeah, he
But
had
it-
his heater on. It was
but
unbearable.
it wasn't warm.
Well, no, but probably a lot more comfortable when
Oh yeah, and I'll admit
snow's
that
not.
it was blowing in the windows.
You can close them.
I couldn't though because then they'd fog up and I couldn't see because the heater was on.
Yeah. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, you know what? Tomorrow, I'm gonna be in a box blind with a heater. So I get out to the farm Sunday morning. Nobody else wanted to hunt with me. My dad. Oh, never mind. My dad didn't want to hunt with me for some reason. And
Maybe we'll hear about it in the future. Why?
Yeah.
We'll have him on to tell us why he didn't want to hunt with you.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Nick, he wasn't hunting out at the farm with me. So I'm
Nick
out
didn't
there.
even hunt at all. He was taking
got
Austin.
sick.
It was Nick's day of rest.
It was a day of rest for me. I was sick, dude. It was fever. Every like symptom you can have from being ill, except
blah.
vomiting, I had. It was great.
Sounds like it.
Well, you could be sick in the tree stand or sick in your recliner. That's
Yeah.
up to you.
Either way, you're still sick. I don't know. Should have been in the woods.
Yeah,
It's either near the.
Your 150 was probably out strutting around in front of your stand,
probably was.
begging to get shot, and you were like, "Oh no, I don't want to do it."
I haven't seen that big one on that wind though.
That's because you don't hunt. You sit on the couch.
Yeah, maybe
Anyway, I was out there.
we'll change it up Saturday.
I was braving the storm in my box blind with a heater.
Really, really,
Really
braving it.
roughing it.
Yeah. And like 8:30 rolls around and I'm like starting to get discouraged. I'm like, man, I haven't seen a deer. What's going
An hour into the
8:30,
hunt.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, what is going on? And my dad texts me, he's like, hey, you seen anything? I'm like, no, not yet. I'm like, if I don't see a deer by 10 o'clock, I'm coming in for lunch and I'll go back out for an evening hunt. So no sooner do I send that text, I put my phone back in my pocket and I look out the window and here's this big, nice doe eating acorns. I'm like, oh, that's cool. She's like 80 yards away. And I had no intentions of shooting her. And I'm watching her. I'm still buck hunting. And she kind of loops around and she starts getting closer. I'm like, if she comes right down this trail right here at 30 yards, it's wide open, broadside, I think I'm going to shoot this doe. And sure enough, that's exactly what she does.
She read the script.
Yep, literally 30 yards, broadside, head down, eating acorns.
You gotta let her have it.
Yeah, I'm like, you asked for this, honey. So
Such a crazy thing to say. Yeah, but
So I put the crosshairs right behind the front shoulder. Then I squeezed the trigger, and she mule.
It's amazing you killed her with that 6.5.
It's unbelievable. Just wait. So, squeeze the trigger, and she kind of mule kicks and takes off like a bat out of hell, running straight south to the road. I'm like, oh, Christ, that couldn't have worked out any better.
Yeah.
And she kept going. And I'm like, okay. And she gets like 150 yards, and I lose sight of her.
Well, that's pretty normal for a 6'5".
Yeah, that's what more do you expect, Tom?
So I'm sitting there, and I'm like, okay, she's got to be dead, right out of sight. So I'm sitting there. I'm like, all right, give it a few minutes. I'm going to climb down, go see if I can't find blood. Well, I'm sitting there, and about 2-3 minutes after I shoot, I see this doe walking back towards me, limping really hard, and her head's bobbing up and down, and her tail's flickering. And I'm like, there's no way. And so before I could get my gun up, she gets behind this beech tree, and I'm looking for her in the scope, and I'm like, she's got to come out. Mm-hmm. And I never see her come out. And I'm like, thinking to myself, I'm like, did I shoot this thing in the leg or the brisket, or like, what's going on? I'm like, well, she's not dead. I got to get down now and chase her down, try and get another shot in her. Mm-hmm. So I'm replaying. I'm like, shoot 30 yards broadside. Like, how do you screw that up? So I climbed down, and there was minimal blood, and there was snow. And it was just like pin drops here and there. I'm like,
yeah, if you have minimal blood and snow, then
It's definitely worries you.
yeah.
yeah. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not even going to worry about tracking the blood. I'm just going to walk to the tree where I saw her last.
You couldn't shoot her from where you first saw her, or when she was coming back to you?
Well, she was coming back to me, and I seen her, and I tried to get my gun up, and like I said, she got behind a beech tree and never came out the other side. So I climbed down, and like I said, minimal blood, so I just decided to walk right over to the beech tree where I seen her, and she was laying there deader than a doornail.
So she ran 150 yards away and then turned around and came back. And how far was that beech tree?
About 80 yards from me.
So she got 150 yards, turned around, came back,
70.
and died 80 yards from you.
Yeah.
That's weird. That is so weird.
It was very weird. And I got her open, took off the top of her heart and both lungs. Just same exact shot I put on that buck.
And she went over 300 yards, back and forth.
No, 100.
She ran 150 yards away.
And then 70 back, so 220.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah. It was wild.
Well, she's dead.
Yep.
Somehow. With those 6.5s, they just don't do the trick.
Now they've done the trick a lot. They've worked real well for me. I've shot, I don't know, 20 deer with that gun now at this point. And that was the first one that did anything weird. But yeah, so I got her open, drug her back to the truck by myself.
Where was Nick at? Oh, yeah,
On
he
the
was
couch.
sleeping.
Luckily,
Frickin' bum.
somebody I was hunting with the day before shot a deer, and we drug it out, and I was able to catch that same trail, and it kind of like packed down and froze.
So it was a nice
like
little
a
slide.
ice slick.
A little
Yeah.
toboggan
Yeah.
trail.
It was the easy, like it literally felt like I wasn't even dragging a deer.
That's
it just
nice.
slid right along with me.
You can't beat that.
Yeah. Ideal situation.
And the deer that you had drugged the day before probably had a really nice wide path
Yeah.
that packed down, huh?
Yeah.
Oh,
Very
yeah.
big packed down path. Yep. My doe fit right in it.
Perfect.
It's
Good
good.
deal.
Yep. Then I drug it back to my truck, had to load it up into the truck all by myself.
Again,
Skin it
'cause
all
Nick
by
was
myself.
in bed, being a bum.
Yep. Took the tenderloins out all by myself. Went to
But you need help getting tenderloins out of a deer?
Went to the local Dollar General, got hoagie rolls and provolone cheese by myself, cooked them up, ate steak sandwiches by myself.
I'm surprised Nick wasn't there for the steak sandwich part of it.
I did eat a couple pieces of it.
Uh-huh.
No, you did not. You ate a couple of the pieces of my buck,
Oh.
but yeah.
Well, moral
You
of the
think
story
housing
is
them would be
you-
enough?
Yeah, you. Would
I
think
offered, and you're like, "Oh, I'm just really not in the mood to eat right now." Like,
I couldn't. It would go right through me in seconds.
that. Blah blah.
it's tasty
Use
though.
bitch.
And I got the back straps of that dough marinating in milk right now.
On accident. I don't understand.
I think it'll still be good.
Yeah, it'll be fine, but I don't understand
I
how you
always-
thought milk was apple cider.
Yeah, I confuse those all the time too.
I mean, they look exactly
Very
alike.
similar. It was a quart jug of milk,
Half gallon
half gallon.
What'd you put in your cereal today?
cider.
Accidentally, of course.
No. So
That's
yesterday,
where the rest of the apple cider went.
yesterday I opened the fridge and right up front there was a half gallon of apple cider and it had a red cap and a red label. So
And probably had like
And
brown,
brown
on
fluid.
the inside.
I'm assuming, yeah, since it was apple cider. And so today I opened the fridge and right where the cider was, there's a half gallon with a red cap, red label.
With a
and
white
liquid.
liquid.
in it.
I wasn't paying attention to that. And I just grabbed the jug, open the cap, dump it in my bag, and I'm like, that's milk. So I've never had a milk steak, so
I'm sure it'll be fine. I
I've
don't.
heard people
I've
doing
heard that
that.
it's really good with jelly beans.
I have heard that.
I'm sure. Honestly, I think it'll be better than apple cider. I don't
Yeah.
like.
I hope that there's at least one listener that gets that reference.
If you do get the reference, leave it in the comments. The milk steak and jelly beans, of course.
Your finest jelly beans.
I get the reference.
Unfortunately I get it, even though I hate it. But it is what it is.
Austin, do you get the reference?
No, I don't.
Ah,
Good. You're good. Man.
Grow up.
Anyway.
Sorry, that was rude.
Yeah, take that back.
I take it back.
Well, congratulations, guys. This was a fun one. We had 3 deer to talk about all at once.
And there's more deer to come. Like we said, we got a big buck down by somebody who knows who it was.
We've actually got a few really good bucks to talk about. We have, I have 4 in my head that I can think of right now. So it's going to be a
And
fun
we got
couple
more
weeks.
coming for sure because I plan on shooting a big buck.
Yeah,
I
the
also
season's-
plan on doing that Saturday.
I passed a nice buck on Sunday.
Yeah, you did.
At 70-inch 8-point.
No, I told you there's a 120.
I'll take things that didn't happen for 300.
You're dumb.
Oh, we all believe you, Frank.
Yeah, I'm glad.
No, for sure. Yeah.
We're done here.
Next time we hear a story, it'll be a 130.
No, it's been a 120 since the first time I told the story.
Yeah. So it was just like the 110 he shot the other year.
No, I said it had the same look, but just bigger. I said it was wider, taller, and heavier.
Didn't you also admit that when it was walking away, you were like, maybe you shouldn't have passed that one?
Yeah, but then it
Then
came
it
back.
came back. So that,
And then I made the decision to not shoot it. Fuck you guys. I'm done. No, I'm done talking.
No,
today.
yeah.
Close out here. Well, congratulations to everybody again. Season's in full swing. It's not even, like we're not even at the end of the season. We still got a little bit of rifle left, muzzleloader, late season. It's a great time to be in the woods, so you guys know what to do. Get outside.